So appreciate it. So yes, this is a nice title, because what was once known as a no man's land is now, we can say, like, no man should be left behind. So why was it called no man's land? So Bunnell and Gerlach observed, like, there was frequent adhesion that used to happen in zone 2, and that's why Bunnell coined the term no man's land. And this is what he remarked: firm flexor tunnel does not allow for the necessary swelling of repair. The blood supply is squeezed out, and the tendon under there undergoes necrosis. Similar view was also held by Boyce at that time, and many other surgeons. And it was during this period when, in 1967, Dr. Harold Kleinert presented his paper at the American Hand Surgery Society with 80% good to excellent result. And these are some excerpts from his book. When he presented this, one of the surgeons stood up and said, "I don't believe this result." So he was invited to come to Louisville and review the patients. And the chair of that committee, Dr. Littler, he was so impressed with the work that was being done. He said that if I ever injure a finger flexor tendon in my hand, I'm going to take a plane and fly down to Louisville. And that's, the rest is history, and that's how Louisville gained its prominence on the map of world hand surgery. There have been recent advances since then, since 1967 as well. And some of these advances are, like, very well mentioned by Jimbo Tang in his paper. Number one is volant, which all of you are familiar with. Number two, we are much more comfortable to do more pulley venting. And number three, there is, like, the jury is still out to say FDS needs to be repaired or not, but either ways it's fine. And I would say FDS repair is really optional. Number four, we are pretty much sure that you need a good 4 to 6 strand repair. And the fifth one is the quality of both the suture and the needles have improved a lot, enabling us to give very good repair. No tendon talk is complete without briefly mentioning this, so I just kept it very little. The tendon healing can be intrinsic or extrinsic. It's the extrinsic healing that gives rise to adhesions. There are 5 types of it. It is the type 4 and 5 that we should try to prevent. And the most effective way to prevent this are, number one, meticulous surgery, and number two, early postoperative motion. Till now, there are, like, so many products in the market, so many medicines in the market, but these are the only 2 things that can prevent adhesions and give a good outcome. There are few factors that contribute to the repair. Briefly, 6 strand repair is good. It gives at least 50 to 60 newtons. There should be a slight tension at the repair site. The core suture per se should be at least 7 millimeter to a centimeter. And then the diameter of the suture lock should be at least 2 millimeter. We should use at least 3/0 or a 4/0 suture materials. The material property of the suture also matters, as well as the holding capacity of the tendon. We also studied the obliquity of the tendon injury on the cadaver model, and we found that the oblique tendons would need a stronger repair rather than a right angle cut tendon. So again, as mentioned by Jimbo Tang, it's good to have, like, locking sutures to lock your threads on all the 4 corners if the tendon cut is oblique. When the tendon injury is partial, up to 30%, you don't need anything. You need at least epitendinous repair if it's more than 30%, and you need a core stitch if it's more than 50%. The anesthesia has evolved from general to brachial plexus block to beard block to volant, although in North America, especially in the United States, volant is not that popular, I must admit, as compared to, like, Canada. I'm going to rush to this slide just to say that, have phentolamine available. This is the next one. Important factor is the partial release of A2 and A4 can be released. It was a previously held belief that A2 and A4 must be preserved at all cost, but right now I think we have moved from that mindset, and complete A4 release and up to 2/3 of A2 pulley can be released. And briefly, about 2 centimeter of opening the flexor pulley sheath can be done without any significant consequences. And we also studied this in a cadaver model and had similar outcomes, saying that A1 plus 25% of A2 is fine. Similarly, A1 plus 50% of A2 can lead to bowstringing, but in a small sample. Coming to the technique, the core suture should be at least a 3/0 or a 4/0. It can be, there are so many techniques that has been described. Again, it is the dealer's choice to use which technique you need. My preferred technique is an M-tang with the 6 standard repair. And these are some of the results, as you can see, with the intraoperative, with the volant, and the postoperative results after flexor tendon repair. Another one that shows the pulley being slightly vented here to allow for to allow for the motion, and that's the final outcome. Similarly, an intraoperative and a postoperative picture. Rehab protocol is again very important, and we have transitioned from initial passive motion with the Kleinert and the Duran methods to passive active, and right now we are in early active or Belfast regimen. This is what I practice, modified Belfast, where a splint is applied, the wrist is held in neutral with the MP about 45-degree flexion, IP in resting position. And a few things I tell my patient is, number one, move your hand but don't use it. Nothing more than taking a remote or a mobile phone, but keep moving the hand. Number two, keep the hand elevated all the time. And the number three, I tell them, is pull and push. This was described by one of my colleagues, Dr. Tirkanar from Kleinert. And what you do in that is, first you pull, that is the active motion, and then you complete it with a push, that's the passive motion. So it's a combination of active and passive regimen. The post-op therapy started early, but not like immediately. In third to fourth post-operative day is enough. At 2 weeks, we see them for a routine wound check. At 4 weeks, start with the pressure dressing, anti-edema measures, desensitizations, and Coban wraps. At 6 weeks, ultrasound, and the dorsal blocking splint is discontinued. Kapner may be needed, especially in the small finger where PIP joint can get into a contracture. So early starting of a Kapner helps. And at 8 weeks, we start strengthening. So that's briefly on 8 minutes is a short time to talk about flexor tendon. There is so much to talk about, but that's briefly about how we started from no man's land to right now. No flexor tendon should be left behind. Thank you.